Good day to you, and welcome back to Mr. Jablonski's YouTube channel. And we're continuing our conversations on the 5 things of geography. And today we'll be looking at, of course, place, with human characteristics and physical characteristics. We've introduced this concept to you before, a couple weeks ago. Today we're going to kind of dive a little deeper into that and see what you know about place within human characteristics or physical characteristics. So, to start, please list examples of each of the following. What do you think about human characteristics of a place? And what do you think about physical characteristics of a place? Talk to your neighbor, generate a list of maybe 4 or 5 things, and we'll be back and discuss. Please pause the video. Alright, so hopefully you discussed human characteristics. And one of the most important characteristics about human characteristics is the idea that this must be man. If it's not made by man, then it's not a human characteristic. For example, we have cities, or maybe roads. I think this is entirely too big. I'm going to shrink this down just a touch. Whoops. Cities, roads, airports, anything that's made by people. How about physical characteristics? What do we have here? Well, made by nature. And for some of your examples, rivers, mountains, oceans, bays. Now, bays. Let's talk about bays for a second. A bay is a sheltered piece of water that is surrounded by land, kind of like the opposite of a peninsula, and it protects that area. So the waves are not too rushed, and if a storm comes in, the sea swells aren't that great. So, in looking at bays, often humans will put a harbor there, which is kind of a combination of human characteristics and physical characteristics. No harbor exists without a nice bay to be in. Otherwise, that place would probably be destroyed in the next big storm. So, we have the introductory ideas down. Let's move on to the next slide. Here, we're going to do an unsum. So we're going to be underlining important aspects, circling things you want to know more about, and summarizing or bulleting the main ideas of whatever this slide is going to be about, whether it's an image or text. So here, we're going to be looking at place. All right? I'd like for you to first define what place is, and then we're going to have to do a little bit of an unsum. But first, discuss, define, report out, and then we'll meet back. Please pause the video. Hopefully you were able to discuss and define place. And here is some text that's going to help you further define this idea of place. I'm going to have you now, please unsum this slide. And you're going to read through from the projector, write down some of the main ideas. Then we'll discuss afterward, highlighting key words and refining our definition of place. So if you would, please pause the video. So to start, hopefully you've noticed that we discussed the idea of physical characteristics, which includes mountains, rivers, soil, beaches, and wildlife. And also human characteristics, which includes buildings, cities, roads, and also food. Food. How could food help define a place? We talked about physical and human characteristics. Well, physical characteristics, I would think a forest would count for that, where there's trees and wildlife. Yet food. Could farms be a physical characteristic, or are farms human characteristics? I'm thinking, talking about food and humans, think farms are human characteristics, even though it's like a natural, somewhat occurring place. Humans can have a great impact on that place, even though it's natural. So, interesting. Farms. Under human characteristics. All right. Next bullet here. Imagine people have a place is based on their experiences, both intellectual and emotional. Interesting. How they perceive the perceptions on a place. If you look to the back of the classroom, toward the emergency exit door, you'll see some of our mind maps we did on the second day of school. I guess our perceptions have something to do with how we see a place. I'd really like for you to add that. Our perceptions define how we see the place. How'd I do down there? All right. Please get that down. If you need more time, please pause the video. If you've had enough time and you're ready to move on to the next slide, let's move on to the next slide. Topographical map of Africa. All right, we're going to do this as a group. We're going to discuss this, and we're going to be answering some of these questions here. All right, so discuss, take some notes, we'll meet back. Please pause the video. Now that you've had a moment to analyze this and discuss it, I'm going to give you a chance to look at these responder questions, and you're going to answer both. Then we'll meet back and discuss this image along with the questions. So take a moment and please pause the video. So here we are with this map again, and we're going to take a look at the first question, question 27. The previous map depicts the human characteristics of a place. Is that true or false? We're looking at this. I'm not sure I'm seeing any cities, roads, or any significant human aspects that could be considered a characteristic. So this is false. This is clearly showing topography. And that brings us to our next question. What does the green on the previous map represent? Well, topography has to do with elevation. So looking at the green aspects here, if topography has to do with elevation, that has to do with what? Mountains? Or valleys? Or both? Well, here I see white spots and a green surrounding it. And you've learned before that the Atlas Mountains are in the northwestern part of Africa. So I'm starting to think that these green bits would be mountains. These would be some of the higher elevations within this map. We tend to think of green as lower elevations, but on this map, I'm seeing some Caucasus Mountains here, and some mountains here in the central eastern part of Africa. So these green bits must be higher elevations, or mountains. Moving on to the next slide. Here we're going to look at a political map of Africa. So this is the same place. We're looking at the same continents, Africa, if you believe in continents. And I'm going to have you take a moment to please analyze this and then take a look at the next question. And we'll discuss, we'll meet back and debrief. So now it's time to please pause the video. So how do the previous two maps of Africa depict the same place? So A, one map is a depiction of man-made borders. Do we see any man-made borders? So I believe this is definitely showing some man-made borders, being the black lines between all these different colors. So therefore, I would say yes. B, one map illustrates movement of people and goods. I'm not seeing any symbols here that indicate movement on the political map. And here, I'm also not seeing any symbols that would indicate movement, so not movement. C, one map defines a place by man-made borders. I would say yes, it does. So then we're looking yes for C. D, one map depicts natural features. I'm looking here. I'm really not seeing natural features aside from the oceans, and that's more of a clarifying area of where a continent may be, so I'm not sure that counts. Here, I'm seeing some elevation changes within the Green Mountains here, and in the lower lying areas with the lighter colors of brown, and then some lakes, and I know there's a river here called the Nile. So I'm thinking, yeah, D has natural features. Letter E, one map depicts population. Looking here, there must be populations because there are countries here. However, I'm not seeing the amount or location of that. And of course, I see no evidence of population here. Therefore, no to E. F, one map depicts geographic landscape. And if we're talking about geographic landscape, here we're talking about topography or elevation. Therefore, yeah, F for sure. All right, so for this question, looking at A, C, D, and F. Tomorrow, we'll be taking a look at human environmental interactions and how place helps humans interact with their environments. It can have profound effects, especially with humans modifying their environments, which may not be the best. All right, folks. Good seeing you, and thanks for visiting my YouTube channel. Take it easy. Have a good day.